All right, quick video on removing a part. Common issue, especially when some random person orders the wrong op amps. You got to swap op amps, or if you flip the power and ground on a quad op amp, you can flip the chip to change that. I want to make sure we're in focus here. So we're going to desolder an op amp here. Yeah, so to desolder an op amp, we're going to do a hot air desoldering. We have the hot air gun here. It's set to 397 degrees C. A big problem students make a lot of times, they overheat the hot air. They do the hot air at 480 degrees and just overheat it. You don't want this part to come off too fast. If it comes off in like 4 seconds or so, it's too quick. So we have it. I usually keep it under 400 degrees C. The only time I'll pop over that is if there's like a trace that's like tied to the ground and I really can't heat the ground plane up well enough. There's other stuff we can use. We could use if you do have a pesky ground plane that's just causing you troubles. We do have somewhere. Yeah, we do have a preheater here. So this preheater, you can set it to. You can set the temperature and it just blasts hot air out the top of this. So if you put your board on a mount frame, which we also have, and you put this underneath it, it sort of heats the whole board up. And that makes it a lot easier. If your ground plane is heated up to like 150 degrees C, your whole board's 150 degrees C, it only takes a little bit of extra heat to get this thing to actually melt off. But we shouldn't have to for this one. I just did one and it worked okay. So for this one, we're just going to take the hot air and you're going to see the nozzle come into view here. You want to be really careful with where the stream of hot air is going because it's really easy to have it accidentally hit a part that you don't want it to hit or hit a plastic part and melt the plastic part. And we're just moving this around at an angle. So we're just kind of heating the area before we heat the chip up. So we're getting a little base heat in here. It's like my camera's kind of getting going screwy here. So we're just getting a little heat around there. And what's going to happen is you're going to start to see the solder pads get a little melty here. And this actually feels a little hot right now. So you start to see the solder pads get a little melty. They're going to get shiny when they've melted. And then you don't want to tug. You just want a gentle pressure on this until you see this start to come up. So just gentle pressure to see the pads on the left are starting to melt a little bit. Looks like we had a power ground pad just melt. They're getting there. Gentle pressure moving all around the chip. And then it wiggles and then we can pull it off. So like that. Okay, so always be careful when you're using hot air too of your surroundings. The mat that it's on, you can get a lot of heat underneath it through the board. So you want to be careful. You want to make sure you're on a silicone mat, and even when you're on a silicone mat, that mat as it heats up can expand and sort of form a bubble. So you want to be aware of sort of your surroundings as you're doing this. But now that we got that off, the pads look pretty clean here. But if we do want to clean them up, if we want to get them dry for the next one, turn off our hot air. We want to get them absolutely dry for the next one. We're going to use some solder braid and a bunch of flux. Let's see if I got flux here. Just dip the solder braid in some flux. Get your favorite iron. Come in here with the iron and just keeping heat on there. Just gently kind of rub the pads, almost like you're just brushing the pads, but you're brushing them with a 300 degrees C braid of copper. So that's going to clean all that remaining solder off. You can do it for this one up here too. Main thing with solder braid like this when you're doing this is you really don't want to ever tug on it. So if it sticks, the stick means you gotta reapply heat and gently pull it off. You never want to tug or you'll pull a pad up. So it looks like desoldering is good there. Let's change the angle so it's a little less smeary. Yeah, so those pads are all desoldered. A little less glare now. Sorry, this microphone has this microscope has a lot of glare. So. All right, let's see if it looks okay with turned off. It looks okay, I guess. Yeah. Okay, there it is.